You're listening to the EmpowerTech podcast with me, Iyari Cevallos. This series is a collaboration with Women in Technology, spotlighting the remarkable winners of the 2025 WiT Awards. Tracey Mounce is a people business partner at GHD. GHD is the 2025 Women in Technology Employer of Change Award winner. Tracey contributes to a range of people initiatives at GHD with a strong passion for inclusion and diversity. Tracey leads the National Career Relaunch program, supporting professionals returning to the workforce after a career break. This program is more than a return to work initiative and is designed to initiate long-term success. What sets this program apart is its human-centred design. The program is taking a step towards a more inclusive future, one where GHD challenges outdated norms, celebrates diversity journeys, and builds a stronger, more resilient workforce. Tracey enjoys teaming up with leaders to build inclusive, engaging workplaces and is driven by creating opportunities that truly make a difference. Tracey, it's so great to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you, Iyari. Appreciate you inviting me along.
Look, we want to jump straight in to hear about some of the work that you do. Can you tell us what drives your passion for this work?
Look, it's for me, working in HR and particularly across, programs such as the Career Relaunch program. It's really about, the moments when you see someone light up with the work that you're doing, when they feel like they're seen, supported, they truly belong and they thrive. So for me, again, thinking about the Career Relaunch program that we do here at GHD, we have many people coming through that they really don't know how to get back into the workforce and they feel a bit stuck. So the program we've developed and the people that we've got in the team that roll out this, this great program, we've got a lot of passion behind it. So, the different situations that people come from, the breaks that they've had in their careers, it can be quite daunting. So that drives my passion. And I know, all of our team here as well, they really thrive on it.
So I imagine they get to see employees of GHD going through the program, potentially being a little bit anxious or stressed. And so they, as a team, you get to see, people coming through the program and really being able to engage in work again and reducing some of that anxiety. That must be quite rewarding.
Oh, it absolutely is. And, we've, with the program, we do have measures in place where we buddy them up with people. We have alumni support from previous programs. We have specific coaching for our managers and people within our business to make it feel easier for them to come back into the workplace and to battle all that anxiety. We've got many people with different situations that come through. But if I think about, we've had lots of mums returning to work. And, the mum guilt that comes in when, they're going back to work and they're trying to organise kids and family and then they get into work. So yeah, they have a lot of support with us and our people are really amazing and we work through with them constantly around, different support they can provide because everyone's different too, different situations. Yeah.
Yes. Everybody needs something different in that situation. Yes, definitely. And, can you tell us a little bit more about why you decided to get into HR?
Yeah, look, for me, I've always liked people. And I think, trying to help people, but trying to understand what makes people tick, I suppose, as well. And how I can contribute to, whether it's from a business perspective or, supporting people, inclusion, diversity, all different facets. I just find people interesting and I'm always learning. So, the different interactions I have and the support I provide, it gives me a good opportunity to work with different individuals and learn and help coach and influence. So, yeah, it's my work is something that over time, I've worked in HR for quite a number of years now, and look, we all have our good and our bad days, but overall, just people different people that I get to interact with. I love my job. And, you know, there's some points, like particularly again around the program, where you can really see the benefits of how you're contributing, how you're working closely with people, how you're providing support, and just being there and seeing them go off, you know, in the direction that they're going, and knowing that I'm a part of that. That's what I find rewarding. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it sounds really rewarding, Tracey. And how did the program come about?
So back in 2017, like this was just a little bit before I joined GHD, it was sort of worked through, not what it is today. Every year we do build on the program, and we seek feedback from participants each year to sort of work out what works and what we can do better. But it was only a small idea back in 2017, and you know, the program had a few sort of development modules. It was a lot about supporting in region, but because we were seeing, you know, people, and initially when we rolled out the program, it was the audience was sort of mums coming back to work. So from a business perspective, you know, we wanted to be able to provide a bit of a soft landing for getting back in the workplace. We understood, you know, flexibility matters with parents, and also, you know, they may have been out for a while, so it's not as easy just to step back into a role and pick up where you left off 5 years ago. So that was the thinking behind it. Also from a talent perspective in the business as well, we were missing out on that talent pool because, you know, a lot of working mums found it difficult to get that step back in the door. So
yeah, they found it too hard.
Yeah, and it's just evolved since then. So this was our 9th year in running it. Thank you. Very, very pleased. But like I said, every year we tend to build on it, and we've got some great people that are still with us that started in 2017. So, and throughout every year, you know, we have pretty good success rates. Not guaranteed an ongoing role, however. Our retention rate is quite good, and it's an opportunity again just to get that experience, get back in. And some people come in and think, you know, consulting's maybe not for me, but we've given them, you know, the skills to upskill in Outlook or Teams, you know, all of those sorts of things we kind of take for granted, even interactions and building relationships and things. So yeah.
Okay. Can you give us a recent example of a success story through your program? You mentioned retention, so that's quite important for the organisation to be delivering successful programs that retain talent. Can you give us an example of the type of experience somebody at GHD has going through this program?
Yeah, sure. Well, one of our participants this year been out of the consulting engineering sort of space for, oh gosh, it was about 10 years. And this person went on to be a mechanic. They went on to work in a coffee shop. But then it was time, actually, I want to get back to engineering, what I studied. So, yeah, they came through. First couple of weeks were quite hard, sitting in one spot, the noise, you know, getting up to speed with all the technology and things like that. So I had a few discussions around that with this person because, it did take a fair bit to adjust, making sure we had the right support in place. But they've continued on with us and they're thriving.
Wow.
They've gotten the boots back under the desk, around engineering and consulting, but looking at moving into like a project management pathway. So,
okay. Yeah, 10 years is a long time. How that is a significant amount of time, and to have the ability to get back into a career that probably, I imagine, benefits them to be in an office and might be better suited to them at this point in their lives. That's a real accomplishment. How does the organisation commit to a certain number of people coming through the program, or do you advertise? How do you find someone like that?
Yeah, well, we advertise through Seek. We partner with them quite closely to put a campaign together every year. We run it once a year, the program, and it's a 10-week program. It's quite structured, as I mentioned. We have a lot of development opportunities in their support and things like that. But this person, funnily enough, didn't see it in Seek. they were going to see a recruiter, and the recruiter actually recommended the program.
Right.
So because they'd had others that had come through, and it was the perfect way for that person to get back into engineering. So I think that's something we're proud of, that we've built this program, and it's, because we do, in preparation for going live every year, we've got several forums and things that we'll join to talk about the program to try and get interest. But yeah, it's definitely built up over time, and it's something that we are getting quite renowned for. And in saying that too, I have spoken to a couple of other organisations around what we do to talk about, I guess what it is, but also what they could take away depending on the size of their organisation, the interest, and so yeah.
Yes. And does this type of program increase the diversity of the people that you have in the organisation?
It does. It really does. And it's part of one of our key initiatives through our inclusion and diversity strategy as a company. So yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think by providing a flexible 10-week opportunity, people can come back part-time capacity to accommodate for other, commitments that they do have. Absolutely. So again, when we first launched in 2017, that was the big that was the component of it that I think we were really missing in the workforce, to be able to people to come back and to have that soft landing. Yeah.
Sounds like you've been running it successfully for quite some time, and you're obviously seeing the benefits. What are the sorts of tweaks that you've realised you needed to make, maybe in the last few years, that have come through in the feedback? Can you give us an example of something?
Yeah, sure. Thinking what comes to mind, we do get, a little bit of feedback around and disappointment from some if they don't secure a role. And so that's something we do sort of work through in making sure we communicate that, it is a 10-week opportunity for you to get that experience anyway, whether it's with us or with someone else. But also, we look at other support measures that we could potentially do for them, because there might have been some gaps. So the alumni inclusion was only last year, because the feedback was quite strong around, what other challenges have others faced when they've come into a program like this? And, it'd be good to be able to talk to those people for them to reflect on things we could be thinking about. So that's probably the biggest thing, I think, over the last couple of years.
Okay.
That we've really...
Yeah, creating a little community.
Yeah, and we've really tried to improve on that. And look, the feedback in that regard this year, because we just finalised the program in late September, it was very positive around that support piece, and alumni was quite taken well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a great improvement. Nothing like a group of people around you to feel supported. There's nothing quite like that, right? So great to hear that you're continuing to look at opportunities to make the program even better. And you know what? I'd be really keen to understand some of the challenges or surprises that you've had, either through your HR career specifically around this program or in general.
Sure. So I guess if I think about from my perspective as a HR practitioner, which, plays into all the initiatives and things that I've had, the benefit of being involved in, it's really about what HR is. And at first I thought it was about compliance, ticking boxes, and of course working with people. But for me, and particularly, again, thinking about the program, it's that working with the business and how you can make an impact on whatever you're doing with individuals. So building trust and showing up as a strategic partner, you can really help decisions and you can help influence. And you see that through people's work, the relationships you build. And again, with the program, I really saw that. I built strong relationships with a lot of the participants, and I have continued to do that. I'm based in South Australia, so we had quite a few participants here, and that I've built really good relationships with them. And it takes patience, it takes empathy, a lot of honest conversations sometimes to get those relationships and to actually see change happen or see people grow within what they're doing. but yeah, that's probably, I guess, the challenge for me as my younger self was seeing how I can make a difference in, working with people and what is the best approach to do that. And over time, I think I've learnt a lot from others. I've learnt from people that I've worked with. So yeah, yeah.
Amazing. And with the program itself, have there been moments where you've been surprised by potentially unintended outcomes that have been positive for the program itself, or maybe the team, your team?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say surprised. I think, like I said, we've all got an interest, we've got a passion in what we're doing, and I think that reflects in the delivery of the program, but also working closely with the people and just the people in our business to get them, on board with what we're trying to achieve. So no, I don't think I've had any sort of surprises, but definitely the engagement within the business has definitely increased over time since we've been doing this program, because they see the benefit of the amazing people that we've got coming through, and the different gaps we can fill from different individuals that we may not look at generally through a recruitment process. They bring in different types of experiences, and that could be culturally, that could be, from like working overseas, that could be different sort of businesses. So much opportunity, and I think that's where the business really, they like supporting our people, putting this program together, but also the people that are coming through that come into our business.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of the leadership there at GHD, how have they taken, when they get someone through this program, how have they taken that?
Oh, look, good. They know that when this person's coming in, that they can't hit the ground running. So generally in consulting, particularly in our industry, time is money. So that's the 101 sort of rule. But they're always willing to get people through this program, to give them that window to come back in, to understand us as a business, to upskill themselves, to provide the flexibility to do that so they can balance their life and work. And they know it's a good investment in the way that,
Yes,
we give this opportunity. And we're seeing it with people that are continuing on with us past the 10 weeks that, yeah.
Yes. It does remind me a bit of a graduate program. Would it be fair to say that there are some similarities?
There is. And look, personally as well, that's another area that sits quite closely with me. I am involved nationally with graduates and interns. So very similar, coming out of university. I think it's very different, being at uni.
Being at
You've probably all
work.
been there. Your
Yeah.
focus is getting grades and things. Yeah. But then you come
Yes.
into the workplace and it's completely different. You have to get up to speed with systems and, making sure you're looking the part and all of those sorts of things.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And we have a formal intern program and we have a formal graduate program to be able to work through all those types of development opportunities and things to best place you as a competent consultant after 2 years. So no, it is it's a similar principle, but I think, with the career relaunch program, that's where I think it's amazing that it doesn't matter where you are at in your career. If you've had a break, we offer a range of things to cater for different situations, and it seems to help people settle in and get back into it.
Yes. Now, so I'm going to take this conversation in a slightly different way, Tracey. If you were talking to a young woman or a young man and that was thinking about making a difference like you do, what would your advice be? What would you share to those aspiring to follow the type of path that you've had and having the type of impact that you have?
Know your why. So when you're clear on what drives you, you'll be able to find the pathway that will suit you. Take time, but I think if you've got that interest and that passion, you'll get there. Stay curious. So keep learning. We're all we're all learning. And I think when you stop, that's when you're maybe not in the right place of where you want to be, maybe career-wise. So encourage learning all the time. Build your crew. So as in,
Oh, yes, I like this one.
find your mentors, your peers, your people who support your growth. And that could be family, that could be friends as well. So I find that's been really important, particularly personally. Speak up. Your perspective is valuable. So don't underestimate the power of your voice. And yes, that can take time as we build our careers, but don't be afraid to, call things out if they don't seem right or you have questions, and give yourself a little grace. Growth isn't linear. We celebrate progress, not perfection.
Yeah, beautiful. And in terms of, and I think I want to ask this because of the program that we've been talking about, for those that may not be so young, but are looking for either a GHD that supports them with the type of program that you have, what advice, or are they looking to get the type of support that you've talked about? That 10-year example is crystal clear in my mind. Where do you start with potentially finding a way to get into a different career or a different mode of working because you now have some extra responsibilities? What would be your advice there?
Oh, again, think of what you can do as well. And now that you do have, you got different responsibilities and things, but your career journey to date, like what are the things you really love doing versus what are the things you're not so excited about? Explore further learning. You could go to TAFE for part-time, do something to upskill yourself. Find organisations like GHD that will provide an opportunity for you to get back into at a different capacity. Volunteer your time. So that's always a good opportunity to explore some things, because a lot of places like people to come and volunteer and help where they can. And talking to friends and family, I suppose, about different experiences. If you're really stuck on, I guess, what you want to do. Yeah, yeah, yep.
Yes, to broaden your thinking. Yes. Yes. Yeah, great advice. And look, we usually end on top tips. I'd be really keen for those in the audience that might be at an organisation, that are in the HR department potentially, or that are a leader and may have the ability to talk to the organisation about a program that you run, or the types of programs that you have that make GHD the place it is today. What top tips would you give our listeners in that space in terms of empowering themselves?
Oh, look, I think it's research, have a look around. Again, that could be through connections. Using LinkedIn is always a great option, building your connections. But yeah, just research for me, looking at different organisations and what they do, what you're interested in, potentially getting some study behind you if needed, or some work experience. But that's probably my biggest tips.
Yes. And if they want to run a program like yours or support something like it in their organisations, where should they start?
Really think about what you want to achieve from a program. So, for us, it was around, diversity. It was about, thinking about how can we get a different sort of talent pipeline in the business, and just thinking about, I guess, front of mind, what's priorities within your business, and then looking at, I guess, the gaps of what you could do for people to bring them in at different levels, and what support you could provide. And like I said, our program, I have spoken to a couple of different organisations that are smaller than ours. So we kind of talked on, things they could think about from our program, but also things that might mean something different for them. But yeah, I think the overall takeaway I would say is think about what you want to achieve in your organisation, and then sort of map that out as to how you could achieve it, and what sort of engagement you would need with different places to be able to achieve that.
Yes, so that makes a lot of sense, making sure you're really clear about what you're trying to achieve and then figuring out how to do it and potentially, reaching out to your network to get tips or advice. But that whole concept of, what are you actually trying to do? We often skip that step. So great advice, Tracey. Love it. Look, it's been really great to have you on the show and to hear the sort of work that you do and the passion that you have around what you and your team are achieving at GHD. I can see, why you've been recognised for this program. Some great things that you're doing. Congratulations again on it being your 9th year. It sounds like a marvellous program. So thank you very much for coming in and talking to us about it.
Thanks, Iyari. I really appreciate your time, and it's been great being able to chat on the program.
Thanks for listening today. Do keep in mind that this is a podcast for informational purposes, and all we're really doing is sharing our opinions on things that matter to us. With that being said, if you liked what you heard and want to continue supporting us, share this podcast with your network to help us grow and bring on even more guests. Until next time, this is Iyari from EmpowerTech, signing off.